How's it going, everybody? I'm Ryan from Hellcat Design USA. Today I'm just going to go over really quick how I'm going to set up Blender 3.1.2. Sorry, I haven't done a tutorial in a while. I have a bunch of them that I have to work on and get done. I promise those are going to be coming out soon. They're going to be based off for 3D printing because that's mostly what I do. I focus on the 3D printing aspect of Blender. Anyway, we can get started. I do want to point out I kind of did run it first just to make sure that the stuff I needed was there. Just so if you look, this isn't going to be the same page you open when you first open it. I wouldn't worry about any of that because we'll set those settings here in a minute. So let's get started. So X out of this. I'm going to come up over here to where it says edit. Then I'm going to go to preferences. That's where they have moved it. I'm gonna move this up. Let's actually full screen this so that we can see what's going on over here. Bunch of small stuff I see, but the first one we're going to be looking for is 3D printing. Now you can type in 3D slash, and then you will get the mesh 3D print toolbox. And click on that one. Make sure that one's enabled. Okay. And then we can X out of that one. Now there's a bunch of different ones that you can have set in here for a bunch of different tools. I like to kind of go through them at first. For instance, like I like the measurement tool. I generally add the ones that I think are nice. So I'll click on the 3D measurement tool, usually the Ivy generation, just so that I can create things I will have a tutorial on how to do that. I would do the curve the sampling tree, but that's more for me and for fun. I don't really do too much for 3D printing with that. Um, Add curve and simplify curves. The landscape, you want the landscape just so you can create flooring in case you want to create a like area map or something like that. Art mesh, obviously, bolt factory, and pretty much a lot of the add meshes. Discombobulator, I have not messed with that one. Pretty much most of the add meshes, I'm just gonna usually add in. Um, Also the animate all. I'm not gonna worry about the bones for now. I'll add in bones later. Not too worried about the animation camera developments. Eye capture key is key free. I don't know what this one is. I'll look at that later. Like I said, I haven't really gone through all of these just yet. I want to show you how I generally just rush or run through and do the general setup of this. So like I said, I came up and I went over to add-ons first thing. The import export, always make sure that you have all your stuff set up. Wavefront, web, standard. We also want to make sure that we all of our import and exports are turned on, just in case someone gives us a file and they're like, oh, I don't know what file this is, and it's easier to just be able to import and export these types of files. So all of the import export files I generally click on. But mostly when you're doing 3D printing, you're going to be working with either OBJs, STLs, so yeah, those are generally the two you're mostly going to work with. So we're going to be outputting an STL file format most of the time. So actually all the time, that's pretty much all I use is that. I only really do the wavefront formats whenever it's multiple items that are super detailed that go together just to make sure that all of the scaling is perfectly correct. But other than that, it's just STL straight up all the way. Um, I don't like the pie menus. That's a personal thing on you. If you guys like the pie menus, go ahead, select the pie menus. Um, Not going to worry about the lighting. These two are ones I would click on if actually all three of these are ones I would click on if I was going to end up doing um, realism or anything that needs really good lighting. But actually, I'm going to point out Blender has been doing amazing with their lighting over the past. I've been watching a bunch of the stuff and some really cool stuff coming out. Just scroll through here. I like to select the node wrangler. Also the arrange node tool. I'm not going to worry about the turn on the loop tools. That'll be about it for there. Go down to object. I'm not going to worry about the object ones for now. I'll add those in later. Those are physical objects, working on the objects, so don't even worry about that for now. Obviously, I'm not going to worry about the render thing or the rigging. Actually, I'm going to put rigify on just to make sure that I have it for later because I do other stuff. Sequencer, power sequencer, system, property chart, UI magic UV. I do want to add the magic UV. Somebody said something really good about that. Video tools reference. Okay, so as for the general, just slapping them on, those are the ones I generally choose. All of the import exports, and then a bunch of the add curve and add meshes. The add curve and add meshes are a really good one. And then, like I said, a lot of the other ones are just preferences. You don't have to add them in. If you go in and select every single one of these, you are going to have a ton of stuff in there to work with and to do with that you want, and it'd be really nice. Uh, but remember, the more stuff that you have in there, the more calculations it has to do for the things you're doing, and it's just kind of like cycles itself. So, all right. So after I get the general settings, the main one being that Mesh 3D print tool, so that's in there. That's the first one we did. After that, I'll generally go over to viewport here. Actually, we're going to start out at interface. I'll keep most of this defaults. Yep. Keep all those the same. Menus. Yep. Keep everything the same. Themes. You can also mess with this. This is just the general themes for the like how you like to have things set up. You can go in there and play around with that. I wouldn't get too crazy because you might do something you'd be like, oh my god, where did I put this? And then it's gone, and you have to work on it, and replace it and put it. It's so I wouldn't really mess with the themes too much. I'm actually going to turn this up to 16 for the viewport anti-aliasings, just so that I don't get ridges and stuff like that. It just makes it look better. And I'm going to turn this up to 8 for the anisotropic filter. And I'm not limiting the size. Selection subdivision, GPU subdivision, okay. OpenGL depth picking, okay, so everything's good there. Here's those lighting settings that I was talking about. You can install the custom setups, the custom matte caps, custom studio light stuff. Really cool. Blender's doing really good things with lighting recently, so I would look into that if you're into doing like realistic renders or animation stuff or anything like that. So editing tab, we are going to keep everything in here the same. Yeah, we're going to keep everything in here the same. Actually, nah, I'm not even going to touch anything in there. Same for the animation, not going to touch anything in there. The input. Now you can emulate the 3 mouse button, and that just, if you look right there, it says Alt and left mouse creates an extra mouse button for you if you need. API, yep, everything here we're going to keep the same. 350. I would probably turn that down to 300, but I'm pretty sure I'll be all right. Navigation. Okay, so there's turntable and trackball. I like trackball because it orbits around the selected once you click orbit. I mean, you can do turntable but I like trackball to orbit around the select and orbit around the selected, just because when I'm selected on something, it's going to orbit around the thing I'm selected on instead of just going off to the side, or you know what I mean? It's going to stay on the object that I'm looking for, and that's what I want. So those two things I'm going to change. I'll change it over to trackball. Click on orbit around selection there for the navigation. Now you can do dolly, continue, scale. I generally turn that to dolly. And then we're also going to zoom to mouse position, so wherever our mouse is. All right, and I'm not going to invert anything there because I like that current setup. All right, navigation. You need to walk. Flying is it's nice once you get really good at Blender and you can start moving around, or you've been working on a single project for a long period of time and you need to be able to just fly around and do things faster. It's better to do the fly. But if you're newer to Blender and you're learning how to do stuff, walk's better. Key map, all of this is going to stay the same. I'm going to leave the key map the same because this is all the general stuff that you guys use. So I'm going to leave all that the same. Now for the cycles rendering, I'm going to do CUDA and just click on both of my my graphics card and my CPU and click on both of them. If you have an AMD, OptX is probably your best bet, but otherwise you're going to want to do GeForce or sorry, CUDA for that. I'm going to make this my default Blender. And I'm just going to do, yeah. So, and I'm also going to change my undo steps to 64 because I make mistakes. It's just going to save the things, the actions that I've done. It doesn't actually, I found out that Blender doesn't actually save the whole thing that you do. It just does the action that you previously did. So it's nice that it doesn't save all that data. So I'm going to put that up to 64. 60 for the garbage collection rate. That's fine. Now, your memory cache is literally going to be what you can set this to what you want. Don't put it over what your graphics card is capable of doing, otherwise you'll crash your stuff. So, if I'm not mistaken, it's 11,000 for me. I think it's 11,050, something like that. I can keep it around there. That's just to let it know that I can use as much of the data as I want. I'm actually probably just going to change that to 10,000 because that's 10 gigs. 1,000 is a gig, just to let you know in this. So if you whatever you put in here is going to be the memory cache limit. I'm not using disk cache. Okay. Your save and load, I would always do, make sure you have autosave put on. You can have one extra save version, two extra save versions, so that you can go back multiple times in case you mess up a few times. I generally just keep it at one because I don't really get past the thing. You know what I mean? Once I get to a certain point, I don't like to go back. So I'll generally just try to fix the problem instead of restarting. All right, I'm not going to do any of that. File paths are going to be your general file paths are going to be set up for where you want this stuff. So I'll go through here on my personal stuff later, but all this is where you're okay. So this is where all the data goes. So when you're going to look for stuff, when you go to load stuff, when you go look for fonts, it's going to look here for my fonts. For textures, you know what I mean? I'll find my texture folder and then I'll put my texture folder here. Don't worry about scripts. Sounds are the same thing. If you have a sound folder that you put all your sounds in, just your sound files, this is a great place to have those. And then your temporary files. This is a really important one that a lot of people don't really mess with. Create a folder within Blender, the Blender folder, or anywhere that you want. Honestly, I don't care where you put it. Create a temporary folder files for your Blender. One of the issues that I had for the longest time, and I didn't realize I was doing this, is I was working on all these projects and doing all this stuff, and I never really realized that I was saving my temporary files in a subfolder that was just kept getting up and up and up and up to the point of where it was like loading up my drive. And I didn't realize, I was like, man, my drive is filling up super, like way quicker than I think it should. And then I started going through files and I found that the temporary files for the Blender temporary files, there's lots of them. So if you have a project that you're done with, you can go in and save all the temporary files if you've saved the permanent file. All the temporary files are all just backup files and stuff like that. Stuff that is backed up and saved as a secondary. So the temporary files are not anything that you're going to end up needing to save over a long period of time, especially when you finish projects or you stopped working on projects and the files where you're at and you're not going to backtrack or anything like that. Then yeah, that's know where your temporary files are so that you can every once in a while go and it's kind of like cookies, go in and get rid of what you need to get rid of. Um, Also, create folders whenever you're working on a project for your render output. I would put it in a general folder, like I said, that you can get to your render cache and your render output, so that you can put them in, have a folder separately to put them in, and you know where they're at, so that you can go back and get rid of the ones that you need to. Same thing as before. Applications. Image editor. Yep, I'm going to keep all of this the same because this is the image editor, the input and output. I have a secondary Blender render that I want to work with later, but I haven't played with it yet, and I don't want to add it in just yet, so that's another thing. Also, trying to think. If you have any add-ons that you would like to install, all you have to do is come up here to install, find the folder that you're looking for, and I'm pretty sure I put this in my downloads folder. Hold on. Because I think it's under OSM. Actually, no, maybe under, hold on one sec. Let me look under this real quick. Uh, yeah, there it is, OSM. Okay. No, it's not under OSM. I thought I put it in there. Okay, so I have a zip file somewhere on my computer that I'll have to find later that I can put in there for the OSM tracker, which you can download for like $5 or $2.50 or something like that. And that just brings in cityscapes that you bring from OpenStreetMap, which is really cool. So that's pretty much all you do is you download the zip file. You don't have to do anything with the zip file. You don't have to extract it or anything like that. Once you have the zip file in your permanent location where it's going to stay, hit install, find the file, and then just install that file, and then you'll have the OSM add-on uh, setting in here, and then you can just click it on, just like we did on these. Okay. Um, so after my preferences are done and all this stuff is done, I will come down, and it does have an autosave, but I'll just say save preferences and then X out of that. And if I hit N, you'll notice I have my 3D print box here with my export and my setup for that. I generally don't mess with any of that, but that's fine. Let's see, item. Um, so I am going to start off by making sure that I'm in, oh, I am. So this is trackball. When you track around something, it tracks like that. When you have it on set on turntable, here, let me show you what it's like on turntable, just so you can have a preference. Or I thought it was trackball that I liked, but apparently it was the other one. So turntable, we're gonna set on turntable, save preferences, exit of that. Okay, so turntable's the one I like. All right, trackball is where it kind of goes around as a ball. Also, when I say zoom in to your mouse, this is what I mean. This is really nice feature to have because whenever you're zooming, you can be working on an area and be like, I wonder how this is. Zoom out and be like, oh my god, over here, and then you can just come to the you know what I mean, work on the second area. So it's super nice. So what I'm gonna do is just hit 1 on my number pad, I'm at 5 on my number pad. I'm gonna hit 5 again just because I want to make sure that I'm in that area. Now I don't generally work with uh I generally don't work with cameras and lights unless I'm doing a showing of what I'm gonna print. I usually just print it out and do showings that way. So I can get rid of those because that's not generally what I do. So I generally will have my camera and my light out. If I need to add them, I'll add them later. Not a big deal. Um, Also, you want to make sure that you have all of your general settings there. And all that's there, so that's good. And all of that's good. Um, Now, when I work on stuff, because I live in America, everything's in Imperial. I use the Blender internal unit scale, which is none. And the reason I have it under none is because even the metric scale is going to be based off of meters. The imperial scale is going to be based off of inches and feet and stuff. And this, if you put it on none, the unit system, each block is 1 millimeter by 1 millimeter. When you work with 3D printers and everything is in millimeters, and you have a bed of 300 millimeters by 300 millimeters, it's better just to have everything set up in millimeters so that when you click on an object, you can actually physically see that it is 2 millimeters by 2 millimeters. And that's how you can pick it in your head. So I would just go into that setting right there. Sorry. I'm also going to keep this on EV. I'm also going to do transparent when I do film. I generally keep that on. So that's going to be my save preference for my load file. So I'll come up here once I'm done. And that means when I open Blender, this is what's going to pop up. Okay. What I'll do is I'll come up here to my file, and then I will. I think it is save as. Oh no. Save. Now I don't remember where it was. It should be. It used to be save startup file, and I'm trying to remember. Okay, so under file, go down to external or clean or defaults, and save startup file. Okay. You can also go to load factory settings so that you can reset everything you just did in case you did something that was too much or you were messed up on anything that you messed up. You can always go back to the load factory settings. But this is going to be my save startup file. So yep, save startup file saved. So let's just say I X out of Blender. I don't want to save this, but I want to open it again. Let's see what happens. Here's this. Oh, okay. So I don't have my camera. I have my trackball. Everything zooms into where I want to. And then I have my 3D print setting and then all my extra tools and stuff. So that works. That's perfect. All right. And that's generally how I initially go in and set up Blender with all the Blenders so far ever since 2.9, whenever they changed, or 2.8, whenever they did the major change. Um, and then this Blender's just been getting so good over time recently, so it's just been awesome. So thank you for watching. I didn't need to have any of my keys clicked because I was just honestly clicking and moving around on things this time, showing you how to set it up. Um, there are, like I said, there are other ways to how other people set things up. That's generally how I do it. But anyway, thank you for watching. If you liked it, subscribe, watch some more. I'm going to be putting out some more videos. Like I said, I have a bunch in the archives that I'm going to be bringing out. So thank you. Come again.